Today I'm going to be solving an interview question that's asked by Snapchat, and it's this SQL medium level question. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So over here it says that we're given tables with information on Snapchat users, like their ages and time spent sending and opening snaps. So it wants us to write a query to get the breakdown of the time spent sending versus opening the snaps as a percentage of total time spent on these activities grouped by the age group. And then it also wants us to round the percentage to 2 decimal places in the output. Okay, and it also gives us some helpful calculations on how we're supposed to calculate these percentages. So to calculate the percentage for the time spent sending, we're going to do this divided by this. And for opening, it's going to be different numerator, but the same denominator. And they give us 2 tables over here called activities and age breakdown. And so I'm guessing whenever they have like multiple tables, there's almost always a join going to be involved. And so if we look at this example output or this example input, we can see that we have 5 different columns and then 2 different columns here. And so the output for this is going to be these values based on these buckets. So yeah, I think I'm going to quickly explain I'm not going to code right away yet. I'm going to walk you through what's going on in my head and how I'm thinking about this problem before I actually start coding. So I'm going to write some SQL comments. And so it wants us to get the time spent sending versus opening snaps. And so this to me is a case problem because we're going to need case statements. We're going to need case statements that handle the different situations, because if we look over here, we can see that the activity type, we want to check if it's either open or send. And so to do that, we do case statements. And so I'm going to show you that later, how that works with the syntax. And we also need to use a join. And I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure it's an inner join because we only want to, if we look at this table, it contains all the different activities, and then this one contains the age demographics. And so we only want to get the rows where we find a match in between the two user IDs from the 2 tables, because any information of a user that's not included in one of the tables, that's completely irrelevant. So we're going to do an inner join. And then we also want to do, you could either do a subquery, but I like to use something called a CTE more. And this is gonna store the query that contains all the case statements. And so our case statements, we're gonna use the case statements to get the time spent sending. So I'll say send time, and then I'll say open time. And then we also want to get this total time spent both sending and opening. So I'm going to call that total time. And then outside of the CTE, we're going to perform the actual percentage calculation, including using the round function. So I'm going to say we're going to perform the percentage calculation. And so one more thing I forgot to add is we need to have a group by inside the CTE. I'll write that down over here. So we need to, let me see, group by the age, because it says that we want to group the activities based on the age group. All right, I know that planning took a little bit longer than usual, but it's gonna make the coding part a lot more efficient. So let's jump right into the code. We're gonna start off with creating the CTE, and we're gonna call it time info as, and then inside parentheses, we're gonna pass in the query, and I'm gonna say select the age bucket. Yeah, the age bucket, and then now we're going to use the 3 case statements that I was talking about before. And so first we're gonna say sum, and then we're gonna say case when, and then we want to, inside here, we're going to pass in the condition. And so the condition in this case, the first condition we're checking is whether or not the activity type is equal to send. And so I'm gonna say when activity type is equal to send, then we're going to return the time spent, because that's what we're trying to add up all the values of the time spent for sending. But if it's not equal to send, then we're just gonna say 0. And we always this is super important, we always need to remember to say end at the end of our case statement. So I went a little bit fast explaining that. So if you're new to case statements, then make sure to pause and rewind, because I'm only gonna go quicker because I just went through the first case statement, and the other case statements are pretty much the same as this one. So now for the second one, I'm just gonna say sum, and then I'm gonna say open, because we want to check the total opening time. And then again, we're gonna say time spent, and if it's not equal to that, we're gonna say 0. Now I'm gonna deal with the final case. So I'm going to, let me paste. I'm gonna say when the activity type is equal to send, or when it's equal to open, then we want to get the time spent. And so this is going to represent the total time. This is going to represent the opening time. This is going to represent the send time. And so now we need to remember that we need to, first of all, we need to do a join on this, because I haven't yet specified what table we're retrieving this from. So I'm going to say from, and then we're going to say from activities, inner join, because remember this is an inner join problem, and then age breakdown. We're going to say on, and we want to join it on the user ID, because that's the column that they have in common. So I'm going to say activities dot user ID is equal to age breakdown dot user ID. And just to be safe, I'm going to this is a good practice to do if you're joining 2 tables. You want to pass in the table name and then say dot, and then put in the column name, because it might be some confusion for SQL if you're joining 2 tables and you're selecting different columns from 2 separate tables. So you need to specify which specific table you're looking at. And so for the activity type, I'm going to say activity type, and then just keep pasting that. I actually think this might work without saying all this, but I just want to play it safe here. So I'm going to say activities.time spent, and then, yeah, I think gotta do this here too. And now we need to do the group by, because we're grouping this by the age bucket. And so if I just take a look at how that looks. Okay, we got a error. Oh, okay, it's because I forgot this space. I need a space here. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, I thought I was like wrong for a second. But we're good. Because we got the 3 different age groups. And we got the different times all added up nicely. So now this part's a little bit annoying, but it's pretty simple because it's just the calculation part. So I'm gonna say we need to do this calculation that they gave us. So we're gonna say select, and then it says that if we look at here, they want the H bucket. And in this query, we don't need to specify which table we're getting it from because we already put it into this time info, this CTE. So now we can just say H bucket, and then we're gonna do some math, and then say, we're gonna say send time divided by total time, because this total time that we got represents this denominator over here. And so that's gonna, we need to make sure to round this because it wants us to round it. So I'm gonna say it wants us to round it by two decimals, and then we also gotta multiply it by 100.0. And we're gonna call that if I scroll down, it says it wants it as send percentage. So I'm gonna do that. I'm basically gonna do the same thing with this one, except this one's gonna be the open time. And then I'm gonna say open percentage. And if I did everything, that's looking pretty good because it has everything that we want. So if I submit that, there we go. All right, yeah, we got it right. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole breakdown of this problem. And yeah, I hope you found it helpful. I know this is a longer video, but having like the structure, like planning out what we need to do, like what kind of functions we need before actually coding, really helps a lot. So if you haven't already, hope you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and I'll catch you in one of the videos that you're gonna see appear on the screen. Have a good day.